From kings dying without heirs, to paperwork turning into wars, to crowns changing hands mid-disaster, these are the royal succession crises that didn't just replace rulers, they rewrote history itself. The Norman Conquest, 1066. England didn't fall because it was weak. It fell because the king forgot to have kids. When Edward the Confessor died in January 1066 with no heir, the throne became an open prize. Harold Godwinson crowned himself immediately. William of Normandy claimed Edward promised him the crown. Harald Hardrada of Norway showed up because Vikings never miss a chance. 3 kings, 1 chair. Harold beat the Vikings first at Stamford Bridge, killing Hardrada and ending the Viking Age in one afternoon. Then came the real problem. While Harold was celebrating in the north, William landed in the south. Exhausted, Harold marched back and met the Normans at Hastings. 1 arrow, 1 dead king, 1 total reset. William replaced England's elite, built castles everywhere, rewrote land ownership, and turned Old English into a hybrid language. This wasn't a battle, it was a reboot. The Diadochi Wars, 323 to 277 BCE. Alexander the Great conquered everything, except the problem of succession. When he died in 323 BCE, he left behind an empire stretching from Greece to India and exactly 0 clear heirs. His alleged final words, "to the strongest," were less a plan and more a starting pistol. What followed was 50 years of non-stop bloodshed. His generals, the Diadochi, didn't fight to preserve the empire. They fought to carve it up. Alexander's family was quietly eliminated. His infant son never stood a chance. Unity collapsed into ambition. The empire fractured into new kingdoms: Ptolemaic Egypt, Seleucid Asia, Antigonid Macedon. Greek culture spread everywhere, but political stability vanished. The constant wars exhausted everyone, and that weakness opened the door for Rome. Alexander built the world's biggest empire. His succession destroyed it. The Hundred Years' War, 1337 to 1453. France didn't collapse because of invasion. It collapsed because nobody could agree who was king. When Charles IV died in 1328 without a son, the French crown faced a legal headache with a body count. Edward III of England claimed the throne through his mother. France replied with Salic law. No women, no female inheritance, end of discussion. Edward didn't accept that. In 1337, he declared himself King of France, turning a paperwork dispute into a 116-year war. What followed reshaped Europe. Knights died to peasants with longbows. Castles fell to cannons. Taxes became permanent. National identity was born under fire. By 1453, England lost everything in France. France emerged centralized and ruthless. A succession argument ended the medieval world. The Wars of the Roses, 1455 to 1487. England didn't fall apart because of foreigners. It imploded because its king couldn't function. Henry VI inherited the throne, lost France, and periodically lost his grip on reality. With no strong ruler, rival branches of the royal family decided to settle succession the medieval way: private armies and murder. Lancaster versus York turned England into a battlefield for 30 years. Kings were crowned, captured, executed, uncrowned, then replaced by cousins with better luck. Most of the old nobility wiped itself out. Power stopped being inherited and started being seized. The chaos ended in 1485 when Richard III died at Bosworth and Henry Tudor took the throne. Henry married Elizabeth of York, duct-taped the bloodline together, and built a stronger monarchy. England learned the hard way. Unclear succession doesn't just change kings, it changes systems. The War of the Spanish Succession, 1701 to 1714. Spain's king, Charles II, was dying childless and held together by court doctors and prayer. His empire, however, was massive. Whoever inherited Spain would instantly become the most powerful ruler on earth. When Charles finally died in 1700, he handed everything to a French prince. Europe panicked. If France and Spain merged, the balance of power was finished, so everyone went to war. Britain, Austria, and the Dutch fought France across Europe, the Americas, and the seas. It was global warfare before globalization had a name. The war ended with treaties, not victory. Spain survived, France was checked. Britain walked away richer, stronger, and dominant at sea. One dying king rewired the world order. The Anarchy, 1135 to 1154. England didn't just lose a king in 1135, it lost control. Henry I died with no legitimate son, but he did have a plan. His daughter, Empress Matilda. The barons swore loyalty. Then Henry died, and everyone immediately forgot those oaths. Stephen of Blois grabbed the crown first, and England slid into chaos. For 19 years, nobody really ruled. Barons built illegal castles, switched sides constantly, and treated the kingdom like a loot box. Chroniclers said the country fell so far apart that Christ and his saints slept. Law vanished. Order evaporated. The war ended only when Stephen named Matilda's son as heir. That son became Henry II and rebuilt England from the wreckage. The anarchy taught rulers a brutal lesson. Succession rules matter or everything burns. The time of troubles, 1598 to 1613. Russia didn't just lose a dynasty in 1598, it lost reality. Tsar Fyodor I died childless, ending 700 years of Rurikid rule. Suddenly, everyone wanted the crown. Nobles, generals, foreign powers, and multiple men claiming to be the magically resurrected son of Ivan the Terrible. Famine killed millions. Poland invaded. Sweden invaded. Moscow was occupied. Fake princes popped up like bugs in bad code. For a moment, Russia stopped functioning as a state and became a battlefield with a flag. Then something rare happened. Ordinary people fought back. A merchant and a prince raised an army, expelled the invaders, and crowned a teenage noble named Michael Romanov in 1613. Out of total collapse came a new dynasty and a national obsession with strong rulers. Chaos became Russia's nightmare. Order became its religion. The Austrian Succession, 1740 to 1748. Europe went to war because a woman inherited legally. When Emperor Charles VI died in 1740, he left everything to his daughter, Maria Theresa. He'd spent decades getting Europe to agree this was fine. The moment he died, everyone changed their minds. Prussia invaded first, France followed, Bavaria piled on. The message was simple: laws are optional if you smell weakness. Maria Theresa didn't fold. She rallied armies, held her empire together, and fought everyone at once. She lost Silesia, but kept the throne. The war reshaped Europe. Prussia became a great power. Austria hardened into a modern state. And succession stopped being polite paperwork and became an international trigger word. The Great Cause, 1286 to 1292. Scotland's succession crisis didn't start with war. It started with a horse accident. King Alexander III died in 1286. His only heir died soon after, and suddenly Scotland had no monarch and 13 people claiming the crown. Civil war was coming, so Scotland asked England's King Edward I to help decide. Huge mistake. Edward turned legal arbitration into a power grab. He demanded all claimants recognize him as overlord, then crowned John Balliol in 1292 and treated him like a servant. Scotland wasn't choosing a king anymore. It was being managed. The result was rebellion. Edward invaded. Scotland fought back. William Wallace and Robert the Bruce were born from this legal ambush. A paperwork dispute ignited centuries of national resistance. The abdication crisis, 1936. Britain's succession crisis didn't involve swords, armies, or civil war. It involved love, and that somehow made it worse. When Edward VIII became king in 1936, he wanted to marry Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee. The government said no. The church said no. The empire said absolutely not. Edward had a choice, crown or romance. He chose romance. In December, he abdicated, shocking the world and humiliating the monarchy on live radio. Britain suddenly had a new king, George VI, a shy man with a stammer, ruling on the eve of World War II. That mistake reshaped history. George steadied the nation through war. His daughter Elizabeth became queen. One abdication defined the modern monarchy, proving succession crises didn't end with castles, just with microphones. Crowns were passed, stolen, disputed, and abandoned. And every time the line broke, empires bent, borders shifted, and history took a sharp turn no one could undo.